Hey, what's up and welcome. I am Matthew Msingati, the designer and developer. This is my YouTube channel, Coded Design, where I teach coding and user interface design. In this video, I want to give you a shortcut, a cut through the noise, a very simple way to help you to understand design and front-end design or development. I'm going to give you a very simple tool or a tip that will help you understand front end, or that will serve as a foundation for your front end career or skill. So a brief about me. I studied IT software development, but for the most part of my life I've been a graphic designer. I've worked as a graphic designer professionally. At some point in my life I decided to shift careers. I was done with graphic design. It was no longer adding value to me. I was not as passionate, so I decided to make a U-turn and become a front-end developer. So this is what I wanted to show you. As you can see, this was like 2 years ago. I was talking about my book on graphic design, and here I was doing vehicle branding, why designers are broke. I'm not sure about that. If designers are broke, maybe somebody might agree and the other person might disagree. Okay, so fast forward, after I've made a shift to become a front-end developer. So now this is me. Now, as you can see, now I'm a front-end developer. So what I want to do in this video, I want to take all the sum total of my experience from a graphic designer to a front-end developer, and try to wrap that up, or some sort of shrink that into one thing that is important, that will help you to serve as a foundation in your design, particularly front end design. Okay, so let's just jump straight to Figma and do the thing. Okay, so in front of me I've opened Figma. Figma is let's say a graphic design online application, specifically for designing user interface. It's more like a direct competitor of Adobe XD rather than CorelDRAW, Photoshop, and others. Those ones, they are just graphic design application, but this one is more of a front end graphic design application. Okay, so in front of me I've got something that is called, what this is called, do you remember this from high school? You used to get papers like these, and they will have a strong black vertical line and a strong black horizontal line, and then we used to call this vertical line the y-axis, and this horizontal line the x-axis, and somewhere in between you will plot some straight lines, hyperbola and parabola and all those things. This is not a math class. However, this is a grid. So in this video, I want to show you the importance of a grid in design. Since graphic design and also front end, some sort of development, it includes a design in a way. So I want to show you that, number one, the grid system, it's very important. It can help you to understand the whole design thing, more especially the front end design. Whether you are some sort of a front end developer, or you are some sort of a designer, you only design mockups and screen, this grid will help you. Okay, so now let's talk about this grid. As you can see, this is some sort of horizontal lines and vertical lines, nothing much. So let's just give this, let's add more value to it. Let's drill down and dive deep in terms of a grid system, and some sort of get deeper into what is it. Okay, the grid, in this grid system, you can some sort of come up with various shapes. For instance, let's just come here and see. You can see that this shape can come out of it. Okay, As you can see, just moving, making sure that I'm in the edge of these lines, and also a different shape can come out of it. As you can see, this is another different shape that can come out of it. So number one, all designs are coming from a grid system. There is nothing that has been designed that doesn't come out of a grid system. So then, if everything that has been designed comes out of a grid system, and when I look at the web design, poster design, and user interface design, whether mobile or desktop, it has got a lot of things. It's not like this boring, it's not this plain. So, Matthew, what are you trying to say? This is what I'm trying to say. Everything that has been designed comes from a grid, but not in terms of the colors and whatever, but in terms of a layout. So a layout is some sort of a fundamental thing that one must understand and also master. Be it a graphic designer for printing and digital screens like your social media, or a user interface designer designing for mobile, you need to understand what is a layout and also its importance and its value, because everything that has been designed, whether for print or for screen, it must have a good layout. So step number one, what I want you to understand is that a grid system is very important. Out of a grid system comes a layout. So without theorizing too much, let's just get to the practicality of it, so that we can so that you can quickly understand what I'm trying to say. Sometimes words are limited, they cannot like communicate the essence of what is being said. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to, let's say, Netflix. Okay, let's just go to a Netflix website. Okay, netflix.com /za, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to screenshot this. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, then I'm gonna paste this here. Okay, let me just wait for some time. Okay, paste it here, as you can see. So what I'm going to do, then I'm going to shrink it so that it can fit in that grid. Okay, I'm happy with this. Let's just zoom in a little bit. Okay, zoom out a little bit. Okay, let's make sure that, okay, this fits like inside. Okay, that's it. I'm happy with this. Let's say zoom to fit. Zoom to fit. Yes, that is it. Okay, so what I wanted us to look at here is how this picture, this screenshot, conforms to a grid system. Let's just do one more thing so that we can make sure that we've got only what we need. I'm going to crop out this section, the top part. Sorry about that, the top part, and also the bottom part, so that we can only get what we need. Yes, as you can see. So what I want to show you is that even this nice, beautiful Netflix landing page, it conforms to the grid system in terms of a layout. Okay, so how is that going to happen? Let me just zoom in a little bit. What I want to do, I want to take these lines, this line, the base of this line, TV show, this line, I want to align it to one of these lines. Okay, as you can see, maybe I should change my grid colors so that you can see what I'm trying to say. Whatever that I'm showing you here, it will serve as a foundation for your design skills and your like design principle, whether for paper print or for digital screens. this whatever that I'm telling you here is the difference between a novice and a professional designer. Okay, so what I want to do, let me zoom out a little bit. Let me click on my frame. Okay, go to my grid layout. Let's change the color to lime. I hope lime is going to be clear. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. Nice. Okay, now as you can see that these words, as you can see, they are almost like, okay, they are almost like sitting on this line. Okay, now let's zoom out. I like that. And then what I like also is how this Netflix thing is like almost in this edge. Okay, as you can see, it starts from here. I like this. Okay, so now let's analyze this landing page according to the layout. Okay, as you can see, okay, here let me just align this U with this line. Okay, just to see what will happen. Okay, so now what we are noticing here, as I've told you, that every design is just a series of vertical and horizontal line. Okay, as you can see, if we zoom in into this line, one can say there is some sort of an invisible container around this line, around that item, and this is that invisible container. Okay, and then the other person might say that there is an invisible container around this item. Okay, around the logo. Same applies around the okay, same applies around this button. Okay, same applies around this button, same applies around this one. Okay, same applies around this one. Okay, same applies around this input box. Okay, please note that maybe my rectangles or my shapes might not be like 100%, but don't worry and don't stress. This is not some sort of a design class. We don't have to be perfect. I'm just communicating a point. Okay, and then let's draw the last one. Okay, let's see. So this is more like I can say this is more like a design reverse engineering, if there is such a word. So we are looking at something that has already been designed and we are trying to reverse engineer it, like trying to take it a step back to get an idea of how it was constructed. Okay, so let me just hide this layer. Okay, so what you see here is called a layout. Remember, I told you everything that has been designed, it conforms to a grid system in terms of the layout. This is what new amateur designers really don't, I'm not sure, consider or take care of or think much about. Whereas this thing called layout, it's very important. It's always there in any design and it's very useful, more especially if you also want to be a front-end engineer. Obviously, even in graphic design, pure graphic design, it's important, but I'm just going to put an emphasis on front-end design, because in front-end design you create responsive layout, and responsive layout are dependent on how you have made your layout. Hence we are saying it's a responsive layout. It's not a responsive button, it's not a responsive text, it's not a responsive tag, but it's a layout. So can you see that, number one, the key takeaway here is that whatever that we think it's responsive in web design, it's a layout. And what is a layout? A layout comes from this grid system. So if we talk about this Netflix landing page, this is the layout for it. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. However, at the moment, things does not have to really make sense for now. Now let's look at something else. Let's look at mobile app, let's say UI. Let's look at something different. Let's look at images. Is this images? Is this images? Where is images? Okay, images. Let's see. So now we're just gonna take a mobile UI user interface, and then we are going to also some sort of put it in that layout and try to see what we are going to get from there. And then after that, I am going to like dive deep into the importance of a layout. If you've got your layout wrong, chances are like your design is not going to be professional and beautiful or functional. Like it's not some sort of serve the purpose. Okay, now let's paste this here, and then from there let's just try to crop the screen that is in the middle. Okay, try to crop and use this screen. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, and then scale this up. Okay, let's zoom in, scale this up. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, zoom in a little bit, close this, zoom in a little bit. Okay, let's try to expand this so that it can look its proportion and say, yeah, so that it can start from this line and end from this line. Okay, let's look at it. As you can see that this is some sort of a mobile user interface, because now we have some sort of superimposed it in a grid layout. So it is you can see that here these items are more like arranged in a row. As you can see, this item and this one, okay, as you can see, this item and this one and this one, they are more like in a row, and this one is just bigger here and this one is beneath it. If you look like this is a row, this is this is one row. As you can see that this is the first row and this is the second row. Okay, and then as you can see here, this can be one row and then this can also be one row. Okay, let's look at something else. This can be some sort of a column, this one. Okay, one column with 1 2 3 rows. Okay, and also you can see this is a row and this is more like a column. Okay, so when I'm saying all design are coming from a grid, this is what I mean. So a grid is very important because it gives you the idea of a layout. So what might be the closest thing to what I'm saying in terms of user experience and user interface design? I think if I can mention the word wireframe, it might give you an idea of what I mean. So let's just jump straight to Google and just type, let me say UI wireframe. Okay. So as you know that before this type of a user interface, this is like some sort of a step before that. Okay, that means the step before that is wireframing. So what is wireframing necessarily? To be honest, wireframing, it's more like a layout design. So whenever we talk about wireframes, we are talking about the layout design, like the bone structure of the user interface. Okay, I wish I can have this picture bigger. Okay, let's just wait for that. My apologies for my slow internet. Okay, let me try to check another picture. This one. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'll just wait for any of these, maybe the one that will load faster. Oh, what I can also do, I can just copy and paste these pictures. Okay, to make my life easier, let me quickly do that. Okay, let me copy this picture and paste it on Figma. Okay, I hope that's going to be quicker than what I was doing. Exactly. Okay, so let's just move this up a little bit, move this up. Nice. Now let's zoom in to see the importance of a layout in design, particularly the user interface design. As you can see, so one might ask, what is this? What is this guy trying to do here? So what this guy is doing here, this guy is trying to figure out a layout of the user interface, because the actual design and the actual coding, HTML code and CSS and JavaScript and whatever, largely depends on the layout, how things have been arranged. This is very important. So if you can, number one, understand that there is something called a grid, and also out of the grid comes a layout. Now let's just push it further. Out of a layout comes a wireframe, and out of a wireframe comes a UI, a user interface design, or the actual design of an interface. So I hope you do get where I'm going. Okay, now let me take whatever that I'm doing and some sort of put it into perspective and make it like some sort of more meaningful, but more meaningful, particularly in the user interface design. As you can see, I've talked about a responsive layout. Remember, I told you, please fix this into your mind. It's a layout that is responsive. Whenever we talk about responsive, you must know that it's a layout. So meaning that don't expect a beautiful interface. Let me see if I can see an interface. Nope, it's not here. Let's see if I don't expect a beautiful interface like this one to be responsive. Or whenever we are talking about responsiveness in an interface, it's not these colors, it's not these buttons, it's not these hover effects, it's not those. The only thing that is responsive, it's what? It's the layout. So what's the takeaway from this lesson at this point in time? I am thinking by now you are supposed to see that in order for you to understand responsive design, you need to, number one, respect the grid system. Your design must fit into some sort of a grid-like structure in order for you to set yourself up for beautiful and functional user interfaces. Even designs and posters and letterhead and whatever that you are going to design, even if it's a banner, because I know that and I've got an experience and I've been working in the printing industry designing and printing things, so I know that layout, it's very important. So as you can see here, this is a certain type of a screen size, and this is a certain type of a screen size, this is a certain type of a screen size, and this is a mobile view of the screen size. So do you see that from this layout you can some sort of picture and see how this layout is going to be responsive? So guys, I think that's about it in terms of the user interface tip or design tip for today. Number one, understand there is a grid. A grid is very important. Out of the grid comes a layout. Out of a layout, I'm sorry man, there is a grid, and out of a grid comes a wireframe, and out of a wireframe comes a layout that can be responsive. So this means that if you don't understand this, if you can quickly jump to HTML, you are going to take time to understand like CSS and how it works and how to manipulate it into your own favor if you really don't understand the layout. Okay, now let me just give you some sort of as a bonus to show you how mastering and understanding a layout can make things easier for you. It can set you up for for being a better front-end designer and a developer. Okay, let's just take this section. Okay, let's just take this section. Okay, let's assume that these are pictures. Okay, so as the screen size increases, as you can see, these were arranged like this, and this, let's say it's a heading. As you can see, these are title and these are logos. Okay, so these are some sort of images or SVGs, and this is a title. This is just a word. So let's just only take this section, this portion of this layout, and then let's try to think about how can we make an HTML version of that. Okay, we're not going to put the actual pictures, we're not going to put the actual words, we're just going to take this as it is, and then we try to conceptualize the HTML of this. Okay, so let me not draw my own things, let me use what is already here. Okay, so here I've got a container that I will call a section. Okay, let's see the fill color. I don't want, okay, undo. Okay, so this container is going to be a div container, and this container it's going to be, okay, just a moment, let me make it lime. Hope yes. Okay, so I've got this container. Okay, this container I'm going to call it let's say a card section, let's say. So this will be my card section in my HTML. Just gonna be a div with a class of card section. Okay, and then from then I'm going to have this, let me duplicate this. So I'm going to have this title or this text. Okay, this text is going to be and let's say it's going to be an h2 tag or element. Okay, this is gonna be an h2 element with a class of title. Okay, let me just give it a color there. Nice. Okay, and then from then I've got these guys. Okay, these guys I'm going to give them a class of logos, meaning that it's just gonna be some sort of what can I say? Okay, nice. It's just gonna be div elements with a class of logo. Okay, just with the class of logo. Let's copy. Nope, I want all of them. Okay, nope, let me click this, and click this at the same time, and I want to make a copy. Okay, and then from there another copy. Okay, as you can see. Okay, I think I can shift this. Okay, so that now I can arrange this layout in a some sort of a proper manner. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight all my logos. Okay, because whatever that we do here, we are going to some sort of conceptualize. Let me group this. We're going to conceptualize the HTML aspect of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do first, this is very important, this talks to a layout. I'm going to take this these are logos and my container, the actual container. I'm going to center everything. This is very important to know that things are centered. Okay, so now I'm going to take the logos and my title, or let me just center everything vertically. Okay, center everything vertically. I think there's something that happened here. Okay, let me group this together. Okay, as you can see, this part, okay, let me zoom in. Okay, as you can see, this part is not aligned properly with other things. Yeah, I think now everything has been aligned. Okay, so now let me zoom out. Let me take this one, my logos plus the title. Let me center them vertically and let me group them, Control G. And then now, meaning that we've got this inner part as one thing and the outer container as another thing. So let me highlight everything and center everything horizontal, vertical and horizontal, as you can see. Now this is a proper layout. Why this is a proper layout? Because these are equal gaps, as you can see, and these are equal gaps. Okay, and the padding around this gap is equal because this is staying in the center. Okay, now let's talk about the HTML. Let's just conceptualize the HTML. Number one, I'm going to have the card section, as I have said, as a div. And then in this card section, if you look at the rows, I have got the first row here. This is my first row. Okay, my first row here. Let me just quickly add a stroke. Okay, let me remove the fill. This is my first row, and in this first row there is this element, and also this is my second row. Okay, it might happen that it's a bit bigger, but the fact remains it's a row. Okay, so vertically inside the card section, I've got how many rows? I've got 2 rows. So what does that mean? It means that these guys here, they need to be inside another container so that I can take this card section, card sec as a class, which is going to be equal to, I'm going to display it flex. It's gonna take a property of display flex, and the flex direction of that is gonna be column. Okay, this is some sort of a pseudo CSS, if there is such a thing. It's more like some sort of an idea of what CSS will look like. So what does this mean? It means that this card section, the green card container, it will arrange its own children in such a way that they will be aligned vertically. It doesn't matter how many they are, but they are going to be aligned vertically, not horizontal. That's what this means. Okay, so this is that. So there will be this row and this row. Okay, meaning that it's going to be aligned as a column. They are going to be stacked one on top of each other, as you can see here. Okay, we are done with that. Then now let's come to this section. Okay, let's come to this section. Okay, we are going to do the same thing for this section, the red section. Let me also just make sure that the colors do match. Yeah, something like this. So in this section, let's say the logo, the class of logo, okay, it's going to be display flex. Okay, a flex display. And then what's the other thing? We're going to justify content center, meaning that the items must be centered. And then we're going to align items center. Okay, Justifying content center aligns the item vertically, and aligning item center align the items horizontally. It might be vice versa, but that's what those CSS properties are doing. And then from then, since as you can see that there is a gap here and there is a gap here, obviously my layout wasn't like 100%, but please pretend that this gap is equal to this one. So maybe we're going to say this layout is going to have a gap of 20 pixels. Okay. The other thing now, remember we are talking about responsiveness. Okay. Now what we are going to do here, we are going to add another property which is I think it's flex wrap. Flex wrap, and then it's going to be equal to wrap. Okay. Okay, so what does this mean? It means that as I am shrinking and growing this container, these items or these elements will some sort of arrange themselves accordingly. In this container, in this size, which is this one, in this size, you can only fit 3 in a row. Okay, but if you scratch this container, as you can see, these 2 blocks can go here. So this flex wrap, it means that these items are going to be wrapped. It's like they are going to take the maximum space. If the 4th block doesn't fit, it will be pushed to the bottom. And if the container is getting smaller, then it will be pushed to the bottom. Okay, now let's go to this layout. As you can see, so based on only that flex wrap, so this section, the logo section, it's automatically responsive, meaning that the more you grow your container, your outer container, these guys will arrange themselves accordingly. So I hope you have learned something out of this video, this tutorial. So the most important thing that to remember, or to make sure that you master, number one is the importance of a grid. A grid is very important in design. Okay, more especially with front end, because it forms a layout and that layout becomes responsive. Otherwise, for me, I'm Matthew Msingati, the designer and developer. If you feel like this video has added value into your overall understanding of front end design, please do me a favor, click that subscribe button. Otherwise, see you on the next one.